So that's a great question. So compounding pharmacies are a specialized pharmacy where pharmacists actually create the medications by mixing individual ingredients or compounding them. So unlike your typical pharmaceutical operations where they mass produce drugs based on set specifications, compounding pharmacies are actually more personalized and customized to the individual patient. So whether it's specific dosage forms that aren't commercially available, or if a patient requires a different form of the medication, for example, maybe they need a liquid instead of a pill for whatever personal health reasons, compounding pharmacies are going to be able to actually create those medications that are custom and unique to that patient. So compounding pharmacies are actually regulated by both federal and state authorities. So obviously, of course, the FDA regulates compounding pharmacies specifically under the DQSA, or Drug Quality and Security Act, particularly under sections 503A and 503B, which if you have read anything about compounding pharmacies, you know that there's two different types, 503A and 503B, which we can talk about in a couple of questions here. So these sections really delineate the difference between the traditional compounding pharmacies and your outsourcing facilities. Additionally, the United States Pharmacopoeia sets the standards for these compounding practices. So specifically USP 795 for non-sterile compounding and USP 797 for sterile compounding. Additionally, the USP also implemented USP 800 for handling hazardous drugs as well. So you also have the individual state boards of pharmacies. So whichever state a specific compounding facility is in, they're under the umbrella of all of those regulations we just talked about, but also that individual state's board of pharmacy as well is a regulatory authority over that facility as well. So you have a lot of different regulatory agencies overseeing the practices of compounding pharmacies. So that is probably the most important question when we're talking about compounding pharmacies. So as I mentioned, you have two different types of compounding pharmacies. You have 503A and 503B. So 503A is really going to be more of your smaller scale patient-specific compounding, where they are creating individual personalized medications based off of a valid prescription or something similar for a patient, versus your 503B compounding, which is also considered a 503B outsourcing facility, where these facilities actually do bulk compounding. So they actually create the compounded medications, but they do it in bulk form without necessarily needing a patient-specific prescription. The other difference between 503A and 503B compounding facilities is going to lie in the regulatory framework and how they're regulated. So 503A compounding pharmacies really are primarily regulated by the State Board of Pharmacies. The FDA, of course, provides oversight, but really where the FDA focuses their regulatory guidance is on the 503B outsourcing compounding facilities, particularly because those are the facilities that are doing mass production of these compounded medications. So if you're a 503B facility, you do have to comply with current good manufacturing practices. You do have to make sure that you're fully compliant with any FDA regulatory guidance and requirements, versus those smaller scale 503A compounding pharmacies, where of course they still have regulatory oversight. They still have to be compliant with all of the standards and make sure that they're protecting patient safety. But because they're compounding medications on a smaller, more personalized scale to a specific prescription versus mass producing, bulk compounded medications, there is a difference in regulatory structure and framework between the two. So at Emma International, we offer a range of services that can be tailored to your specific operation, whether you're a 503A or a 503B facility. And this includes everything from regulatory compliance support, quality system audits, support with remediation for any enforcement actions, whether that's from a board of pharmacy or it's from the FDA itself. We also have, skill sets in, for example, aseptic technique and processing, environmental monitoring, and some of those more deeply technical skills to make sure that your operations are in full compliance with the regulations. We work closely with you as a facility to ensure that not only are all of your operations in full compliance, but also that they're fully optimized and that they work for your team. Whether it's preparing for an FDA inspection, developing SOPs, or just ensuring compliance overall, we're here to help. So if you'd like to learn more about what we can do to support your either 503A or 503B operation, feel free to give us a call or reach out to us via email or our website 24/7.